Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of College for YouTube back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. Finally, finally gonna get a Dark Shadows video. Been busy too. So, uh, this episode's written by Art Wallace, directed by Lila Swift. We get a shot at the Great House, obviously. Yeah, I've talked about the camera work of Lila Swift and Dan Curtis Productions and John Sedgwick and Dan Curtis Productions. You're gonna see some more great camera work here. I love how we get a mini track. When we go into the Blue Whale, we do see Bill Malloy, or sorry, we do see Sam Evans, um, which is. And I love how they shoot him sitting down, and Bob is, or sorry, Punchy, whoever is walking past behind him, and then they shoot Joe coming into the Blue Whale. It's a nice transition to how they do this. And Joe is up at the bar, and Sam walks up and says, let an old man buy you a drink." And they go sit together, and Sam puts it on his tab. I would love to see. I would love to see a receipt of Sam Evans' tab. What does that look like? Or see a print copy of what Sam Evans' tab looks like. It's probably not small, we'll say. So there's that. They have a conversation about Bill Malloy's death. Sam asks, basically, what you have going on here, not basically. Sam is inquiring without interrogating. If you'll notice, there's a different technique to Sam's interrogation tactics, to Roger's interrogation tactics, and depending on who especially who he's speaking to, and Burke's interrogation tactics. So, for example, Sam, who when he's sitting he seems like this lovable guy. And I love how David Ford plays into that here. That he's sitting at the table with Joe. He's offering to buy him a beer. He does. And they strike up conversation about Bill Malloy's death, about it being his body being fished from the ocean. And he asked Joe if he's been up to Collinwood since they fished Bill Malloy's body out of the ocean water. And he says, "No, I have not." And he says, "But you will, Caroline, as your lady love." He goes, "Yeah, I probably will, but I haven't yet." And I love that. And I'll tell you why. Think if that were Burke. The tone of the conversation would be very different. I think that's the thing, too, with characters. Tone matters. Basically their characteristics, okay? Instead of taking an aggressive tone, Sam knows he doesn't need to. He just needs to be this lovable guy who can have this laid back approach and asking Joe some harmless questions. What to Joe is harmless questions, but Sam was also, in a sense, trying to get some information. Maybe Joe knows something that Sam doesn't. Because Sam was trying to find out stuff from Joe that he feels Joe might know, but Sam doesn't. Um, Also, now Joe hasn't been up to Collinwood, since they fished Bill Malloy's body out. If that were Burke Devlin, the tone would be different. If it were Roger Collins, I think the tone would be, "I'm so sorry." He'd be like somber. He'd be like, "Oh, Joe, yeah, we lost." But to Burke or to the sheriff, who's probably going to interrogate Roger, there would be a completely different tone. Um, and he sort of already did interrogate Roger, and the tone was very laid back by Roger. But when Roger spoke to Sam, he let Sam know, "Hey, I'm not going down for this. Whatever happens, I'm not going down for this. I got off. He told he told him in the previous I fully intend to find out who killed Bill Malloy and prosecute. You could say, well, it's just a character like trying to intimidate Sam. I think that's the thing too. Roger and Burke know Sam is not hard to intimidate because really he's the low in a lot of ways because he's the lowest man on the totem pole because they don't know Matthew Morgan killed Bill Malloy. And they it's I think that's what's funny when you're looking into these episodes. There you don't okay, the sheriff questions Matthew Morgan. Roger he doesn't question I don't think he ever questions Matthew Morgan. Now, again, he's curious like okay, Matthew pushed the ball. Like why? Like it's very, very strange how three suspects in the sheriff's mind, or more specifically two, if he's like when you look at Sam Evans, Burke Devlin, Roger Collins, you can see why the cops are more focusing on them because they're the front and center. But with murder, generally, more often than not, it's the least likely person, right? Is he a least likely person? He's a least likely person not because of his demeanor. He's a least likely person because his loyalty to Liz. No, you would think people or could see Sam's psychotic behavior, or sorry, Matthew's psychotic behavior. I said the wrong character. But they see it in an episode where there's going to be an episode here where it's not this one where Matthew Morgan tries to strangle Burke Devlin. You would figure that would be enough, but and as I love the character Burke Devlin, the sheriff, you got to understand too. People know that Burke's been snooping around. By that point in time that happens, the family knows he hired a private investigator. Constable Jonas Carter knows about it. The sheriff, Dana Elker's character, George Patterson's he's gonna know about it because obviously there was a previous lawman involved. Though he is gonna read Matthew the Riot Act, sure, but I think he did. We'll talk about it when it happens. But for this episode, our intro is the blue whale, and post intro we have David talking to Carolyn about Todd. He's asking about Todd about the position of Bill Malloy. He'd love to know where Bill Malloy's body. He's trying to figure out where Bill Malloy's body fell in with the tide charts. He's talking about Bill Malloy and Carolyn. Like you're wrong here. We just lost, because to Carolyn, and this is like a great differential of character where Carolyn is more sad and upset that Bill Malloy is dead, and she's trying to mourn him still. Because again, we're still in the same day they discovered his body. We have Carolyn, who, though upset, David is curious as to figure out things. And you sort of admire his curiosity to a degree because, hey, this This kid's legitimately trying to figure out where Bill Malloy fell in, or where he went into the water. Um, it's interesting. I mean, we know the law's trying to do that, but for another character who isn't, who isn't wearing a badge to sort of go on their own and do their own thing to find things out. I don't know if I've ever talked about this before. This is it's sort of like an Avenger type stuff. What I mean by that is, here's a character. We've talked about, I'm pretty sure I've talked about how Burke Devlin goes and does stuff. But he's not just doing stuff for no reason. He's doing stuff to clear his name. That's a reason. He has a reason to do it. Now you can say David's trying to frame his dad. Perhaps, but I will say him doing this just to do it is somebody taking a stand to do something too. It's not, you could look at it and say, oh, he's just trying to find a way to convict his dad of the crime. Really, the tide chart, if the tide charts don't determine what he think, in the law's mind, because in David's mind, his dad's always going to be guilty. So I'm not really going to include, until he finds out the truth, that is, I'm not going to include that, because we know how David feels about his dad. That's not it's not a state secret, you know. So in this episode, he's talking to Carolyn about the tide charts, and she's like, "David, just don't go outside. My mom wanted you to be outside." You have that a great conversation that's going on here. So, and he says, "Why don't you? If you don't like it, why don't you just go away?" It's interesting. It's interesting to sort of see. Yeah, he says I have lots of friends here, right? He talks about, here's where he talks about the ghosts more, and he says maybe Mr. Malloy will come back, and she says, "All right, David." I love how David says, "Why don't you just leave and go away?" And she goes, "It's not just that simple." Again, I've talked about this with Carolyn too. So yeah, David's trying to find like I said, he's trying to find the exact spot of where Bill Malloy went into the water, the tide charts, the wind currents. He got them from his father's, from the study too, from his dad, from his dad's study. I love this shot here. You get a close up of David Hennessy, and you can still see Carolyn in the same frame. That's what I mean by like great camera work in these DS episodes. How the directors are putting their own stamp. Leland Dan Curtis Productions. We know he's been talking to Carolyn that whole time, and he's still talking to Carolyn, and they put Carolyn in that same frame. It's really, really, really good. I mean, you could see she's sitting there. It's a great shot. And two, with David sort of like looking into where he's trying to find out where Bill Malloy's body went into the water. By the way, he's not going to be far off. Spoiler alert, right? He's not going to be far off at all, um, which is really interesting. Um, Also, too, what I love how we're going to get the interrogation of Sam Evans in this episode by George Patterson, because it's been coming. You saw in the previous episode where George Patterson was sort of eyeing Sam Evans up, like, "Yeah, I'm going to be needing to talk to you." Like, and it's really good because he's at the diner where Maggie works, And George just looks at Sam and like, okay, I'm gonna be needing to talk to you. He doesn't say it, but he says it with his eyes. And this is gonna be the episode where he talks to Sam. And I love how he does it. By the way, we're back at the Blue Whale. Uh, and yeah, they're talking about ocean currents. Sam Evans. So yeah, Joe's talking about, hey, they have to know about the time that Bill Malloy's body landed in the water. They have to know. That narrows down the where. Plus with the currents, um, then they have to know what time it came. The rest of Widow Hill. It's it's great that the writers are implementing that because you're getting basically we're doing a whodunit, right? I mean that's what Dark Shadows is doing here. Yes, we all, if you're a DS fan, we all know the conclusion. But that's what we're doing. That's what they're doing here. They're doing a who done it, which is great. Who done it's are a lot of fun. Detective work, noir stuff is just great. I love how we get a close up of David Ford, and then they pull back. How about another beer, Jazz, and finish this verse? So they remember to forget. Major police are working on his tire charts right now. He said, "I think I'm gonna order you another beer." And we hear the door. And I love how Sam's movie goes from "I'm gonna get another beer" till we see Sheriff George Patterson. I love how they shoot this from the waist up, from Sam's perspective. And I love how Dana Elker's looking at him. He gives us a little smirk, like, "Yeah, we need to talk." And that moves. It's such a great camera move by first of all Leo Swift, and a great posturing by Dana Elker. This is why he is everybody's favorite sheriff. Um, so yeah, the sheriff's saying about how the canner is code for the state. I love this scene how because I love how Dana Elker's Sheriff George Patterson is getting rid of Joe here. Why don't you go get? You should. If I were you, I'd go get in my car, go get in the car, and go pick up my girl. I'd go take her someplace. he's like, he's just like casually getting rid of Joe so well, and it basically Joe just gets up and goes, "Yeah, you haven't said anything that I haven't said myself," and just leaves. Dana Elker, the master of the interrogation dance, right? I'm gonna interrogate you, and if I have to get rid of people to do it, I will. Not kill them, but I'm going to get rid of them by putting them. Hey, why don't you go do this? If I were you, I would do that. So David, I love how he went. Yeah, David Hennessy's uh, David Collins was down by the rocks. You can tell that too. It looked like they put some chalk on his shirt. You see like this white powdery substance. It either A looks like chalk or just dirt. It looks really good. You can tell too, still in this black and white color. Plus, you can see dirt on his. You can see where there's dirt by his nose down here. It's really well done. The effects department, the makeup department especially, did a great job. And here we have Joe, who's coming to pick up his girl. He took Sheriff Patterson's advice. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Right? It's the sheriff. Oh my god. So Joe says the sheriff felt bad about Mr. Lee, which is she says which he can Karen says which more I could say about my cousin. So Joe's going to take Carolyn for a drive. So again, you can see the more makeup. You can see the makeup on David Hennessy, and I love this shot. The three of them in the frame together. Carolyn's going to go up the steps. Joe's looking at the is looking down at the tie charts, and David says, "I'm trying to solve a murder," and Carolyn says, "Murder? Whoever said it was murder." And now we go back to the so the sheriff was on the phone. Just took the characters down to docks and got into a fight. Good friends too. I love how this is real. I'm gonna get into something here because it's really good. So Patterson was talking to Evans in the Blue Whale. He says, "All the smoke in here is awful. Let's go someplace so we can talk." Where? Oh, where to? My office. And they put a question mark on us. I'm gonna say this. He's not asking him to come with him. He's telling him. And you can sort of tell that with it's not that he's given this forcible tone. He said, "Let's get out of here." At first for casual to then he goes, "Oh, we need to have a talk. So let's go have this talk." "Oh, where to?" "My office." And that sort of statement is so good. And you can see the look and concern on uh, David Ford's face, Sam Evans. You know, I know Laura Parker had talked about again they didn't know they couldn't hear the music and when it was playing, but this is just such a great reaction, and then you get the music again. The production team did their job to a T on these episodes. We have a cutscene. We go back to Colin, and Joe is helping. I love how we get a tracking shot of Carolyn coming down the steps. "Joe, where are you?" "I'm in here, honey." He's helping David with the tie truck. You should. I love how she gets to get his attention. She walks out there. "Hey, take as long as you want." Carolyn is. I love how the grieving stages work in these episodes. Carolyn is trying to move away from Bill Malloy's death. Like, okay, he's dead. I want to get away from my house. I want to, you know, she's still mourning him, but she wants to also get away from the house and get away from, the area. She wants to get out of Collinsport because Bill Malloy is dead and he most likely died in Collinsport. Now she doesn't know that, but Joe, I think I said something. You're after something else. He says, "Ask your dad. Ask your dad." Yeah, don't ask your dad. Even David says he just rip it up. I love how Karen's are, hog time, let me go, because that's what the sheriff told him. Joe. Now we're with the camera angles. I like how we see a little more dirt on the side of David's face. We see like there's dirt by his cheek, there's dirt down here, and we see the dirt like on his clothes. Again, I don't know what they specifically use, but it looks really good, and you can see the dirt on his jeans. Great job. Uh, Sheriff Patterson telling Sam Evans to sit down. There's going to be some intense interrogation there. He said Bill Malloy called a meeting, and he's asking about the meeting that Bill Malloy called. How do you know he died that night? He disappeared. And so Bill asked, he, because he was dead. I like how, are you sure that this is great dialogue? I don't want to interrupt it. I'm trying not to. I love what he's doing here. He's like, Sam, really? You're trying to pull one of. So Sam is saying that Bill Malloy didn't tell him why. We know that's not necessarily true. It's not so much that he did. Sam knew why. Sam knew why he was being called there. So now, we get that there are some people who think that he wasn't guilty of that crime. It's great. It's a great line. And then finally to plant that seed to because the seed, it's sort of already somewhat been planted by Burke, but to have someone else, especially an officer of the law, plant it. And I love the heat. We're getting the heated exchange. So Sam's like exploding back at the sheriff. I love how they're getting into a shouting match, and basically Patterson wins it. Like no, like I don't know why the meeting was called. Well, it was good for. Basically, what the sheriff is getting at, because he says that Burke was told by Bill Malloy that he was told by Bill Malloy that it was an exonerate him of the manslaughter charge. And what basically the sheriff is getting at here is, okay, if he told one person that, he damn sure told the other two. He's not necessarily he's not saying those exact words, but he's saying it in a different way. Were we about 10:45? He's asking, so about halfway. He said anybody halfway? And he says no. Were you getting it? Sure nobody saw you. So Sam is saying, so already the sheriff was laying down, hey, if he was murdered, there are two people who proceed to gain from you and Roger Collins. So the sheriff has got his eyebrow really raised in the direction of Sam and Roger. It's a great, great writing scene, and it's really well acted, not just by Dana Elker, but by David Ford. Great back and forth between two veteran actors who really sold their asses off their dialogue. Great writing, hell of an episode. David lays the chart down and he walks up the stairs. He's all dirty. There's knocking. He's still dirty. Joe, I knew you. And it's the sheriff. Hello, son. You're the doorman today. You want to see my father, don't you? Yes. How did you? About my sister-in-law, isn't it? Your father here? Yes. I'll go tell him you're here. And David runs up the steps. I love how we get they pull back a bit. We see Dana Elker walking around, looking up at one of the portraits. He walks back toward the table, sets his hat down. Great, great episode. Really, it's fun to go back and watch these and see the wonderful camera work of the directors and the production crew. But I really love the makeup. I got to give it to the makeup crew for how dirty David looked. He looked like somebody who'd been down by the rocks. Great, great job. I really love the back. Obviously, my favorite scene in this is the back and forth between David Ford's Sam Evans and Dana Elker's Sheriff George Patterson. And Patterson just lays it down right in front of Sam. Okay, if it was murder, there are two people who have to gain from it. Because what we hear, it's one thing to hear from Burke that he might have been interested, but to hear it not just from somebody else, but somebody in the law enforcement department, of somebody who's the law and order of Collinsport, the sheriff specifically, is huge. It lets you know that perhaps Burke is right. If you're watching DS for the first time, you're getting that in episode 58 by somebody of importance in the law. I am the law. we need Dana Elker in the Judge Dredd outfit. That's what we need. What the hell? He's showing who's boss for sure. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review. Have a great day.